Alright guys, I just woke up and today I decided for no reason at all to just speedrun Minecraft for my first time ever. Now the way we make this speedrun spicy is to see if I can pull off this run in the time it takes for me to bake a cake. Well, not just bake the cake, just the whole process. Understandably, you're probably thinking to yourself right now, why the f would he need that much time to speedrun Minecraft? But do understand that this is not only my first and only completed attempt, but I use my own seed for this.
Nice.
And I'm playing on whatever version was available at the time, which was 1.21.5. And yes, I know, that was like forever ago. Unfortunately, I have a job. Oh yeah, and one last thing. I gave myself like about a week to kind of learn and practice this run, so yeah. Now, one of the big reasons why I wanted to do this video was because this guy right here is basically putting a gun to my head and forcing me to do this, so we can all thank him for this video. And furthermore, this cake won't be any normal cake. Instead, it will be a Minecraft cake.
This is disgusting.
And yes, I can already hear you now. I know this cake looks like but it's mine, and I love it. Look, I'll be honest with you, I found the very first recipe I could online when I just typed in Minecraft cake recipe, and just went with it. And in hindsight, I'm sure there are easier recipes out there that I could have used to make this recipe. At its worst, I'd say this cake was like a 6 out of 10 to make, which definitely isn't the worst thing ever, but any recipe that doesn't require marzipan would have been fantastic because marzipan can go f itself. Also, before I forget, this recipe requires jam, so I decided to make homemade jam beforehand. Now, why would I make homemade jam? I have no clue. I guess I thought it would be easier to just buy the strawberries at the store and turn that into jam instead of just buying the jam at the store. I don't know. And yes, even though it does say to use cherry jam, I am using strawberries to make my jam because I just wanted strawberry jam. Now, a little lesson for you. Marzipan is that white shit that you can use for decorations. You can roll it out in the thin sheets, whatever. You can put dye in it, change the colors, whatever. The only thing I gotta say is that it just loves to stick to rolling pins, and that really grinded my gears. Anywho, this is how the cake turned out, and it turned out all right, I guess. It wasn't the worst thing ever. I'll give it like a 6 out of 10, because why not? One last thing, I completely forgot to tell you guys, this cake takes 2 hours to complete. Like the recipe says it takes 2 hours, so that's how long I have to beat the game. Now, I do want to make one thing clear. The reason why I am using the time provided in the recipe instead of the time it took me to actually bake everything is because I took way longer than 2 hours to bake everything, and instead of giving me all the time in the world, I'd rather just be safe and just give myself the 2 hours because, let's be honest, 2 hours is more than enough. And if you want to know, I am playing on Java because people seem to just like Java over Bedrock more for speedrunning. And yes, I know there are better versions to speedrun Minecraft on, like I said earlier, but I just kind of said, F it. I didn't want to unupdate my game. I don't know what you call that. Alrighty now, I think that is everything I need to talk about, so let's get into the run. Alrighty, so to start everything off, cake is what I've chosen for the seed, and in addition to that, I will be playing on easy difficulty because f you, that's why. Now from the start, I knew I was going to need supplies going into the nether, so I raided this nearby village for some iron and watermelon. The watermelon should be obvious enough, but the reason why I need the iron is because without an iron pickaxe, I can't... So the reason why I need watermelon should be obvious enough. You know, I need to eat food, but the reason why I need iron is because without an iron pickaxe, I can't mine gold blocks, which spawn in these nether ruins, which is good because I need gold for later to trade with pigs. So after about like, I don't know, 30 minutes, I think, I have to check, but after a bit of time, I gather everything I think I need for the rest of the run, and I head to light this nether portal, so I can make my way into the nether. Alright, after we light the portal, we can now head into the nether, and my first stop in the nether is going to be finding the nearest piggy to trade gold with. Now be careful what pigs you try to trade with. If they don't look like this, don't trade with them, because they will. And speaking of the pigs we need, looks like we found one. The reason why we have to trade with pigs is to hopefully get ender pearls, to then hopefully turn those into eyes of ender, to then hopefully beat the ender dragon. And God must have felt like being funny the day I started my speedrun because I need 10 of the 12 eyes of ender for the portal on this seed, which to me was crazy, but in hindsight, it's very much doable. So after pelting all the gold bars we had at this defenseless pig, we then collected a total of 7 ender pearls, which is a fantastic start, but we need more, and I know exactly where to head to. Now, our next stop is going to be a bastion, because we need 3 more ender pearls, but since we're out of gold, we need more gold. Bastions can generate in many different ways, but the one thing they all have in common is that they all have gold blocks in them if you look hard enough, and combined with the fact that the pigs spawn here too, we should have no problem getting the remaining pearls that we need. Now, if you don't know, you have a 2.18% chance to get between 2 to 4 pearls to drop from a trade, which isn't the worst thing ever, honestly. Like in hindsight, like you see that number and you think that's but it's not the worst thing ever. All right, so now we have collected all the pearls we need. And the next thing we need to do is get the other remaining half of the Eyes of Ender recipe, which is blaze powder, which you can only get from blaze rods, which you can only get from blazes, which you can only get from fortresses. So we're gonna go to a fortress. Now, to get to the fort, we have to head all the way back to the portal and head in the opposite direction. Now, I've found it easier to just go to the bastion first, then the fortress instead of vice versa. So that's the path I take. One thing I do want to get off my chest is that the slimes in Minecraft are the absolute, oh wow, that was crazy. Slimes in this game are the absolute bane of my existence. I don't think I've been thrown into lava more times in my entire life. We finally make it to the closest fortress, and it was truly a humbling experience trying to obtain blaze rods because I can't fight for shit. This is sad. Luckily enough, I was able to find golden carrots in the bastion before heading over, and they were lifesavers. I was eventually able to collect all the rods I needed for the Eyes of Ender. And with some extra obsidian, I was able to get out of the Nether with no problems. And now that we've made our way out of the Nether, our next stop is gonna be the end. Now, this portal placement is just unfortunate. I think that's the best word to use. But after we eventually make it to the surface, we grab some wood and build a boat because, of course, the end portal, stronghold, whatever you call it, is under the ocean because why wouldn't it be? The journey from where I built the boat to the portal is roughly like, I don't know. I forgot, but it isn't too close and it isn't super far. But once we do make it to the right coordinates, we can finally start swimming down and digging to the stronghold. Fun fact, I almost just completely threw the run away right here because I almost drowned. Like I was digging in the wrong spot. Like I couldn't remember exactly where to start digging at. And I almost completely f***ed myself. But luckily, I made it to the boat. Like, truth be told, this part worried me the most out of any part of the run because just imagine f***ing up the entire run at this very moment from the fact that you just drowned. That's upsetting. But you know what? Let's just forget all that drowning talk, that speedrun ending talk, all right? And so now that we've made it to the end portal room, I just have one thing to say. Silverfish. Fucking silverfish. And I know that's many things I had to say, but I just have to emphasize how scared I was to unleash this ancient evil all over the place because it happened once before and I was beyond anxious trying not to get obliterated by these fish. But luckily I was able to destroy the spawner before anything bad were to happen. So that's good. And now we are in the final stretch of the run. And all I have to say is, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I'm barely going with my script right now. But before we do kill the Ender Dragon, I just need to take the biggest shit of my life. All right, now that I'm back, let's start the fight. And let me tell you something. This fight was horrible. My experience fighting the Ender Dragon was next to zero. The only good thing I had going for me was the fact that the towers weren't super tall, so reaching the crystals at the top wasn't the worst thing ever. I feel like that's my catchphrase. Wasn't the worst thing ever. This time I was smart enough to bring a bow with me, which of course made this fight so much easier. And of course, I had to bring a bed too, because running from spawn to this portal makes things take so much longer. And yeah, that's my fault for not bringing up the fact that I brought a bed to the end portal room. I'm sure in the video you'll see me put it down, I just never mention it. I will say, I put that bed to fucking use because I died so many times. You know what, here's some highlights of the fight. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, why don't I just use the bow to one-tap the Ender Dragon? Or use a bunch of beds to basically achieve the same thing? Well, it's pretty simple. I am not that good. Like, for example, when it comes to the bow trick, I can only perform it once, and I didn't even record it. So, yeah, I didn't want to waste my time trying to attempt to do that, knowing I wasn't going to succeed probably 99 times out of 100. And then when it comes to the bed strat, whatever you want to call that too, I'm not going to lie. I completely forgot that that was even an option that I could have used. So, you know, take that as you will. Oh yeah, and I completely forgot to mention this. You've probably noticed that I am taking a lot of fall damage. I don't know why I didn't bring a bucket of water to the end. It would have been so much simpler, but yeah. I wish there was more of an explanation on why I didn't bring a bucket, but... So eventually, after hitting the Ender Dragon enough times, my destiny would be fulfilled, and I would defeat the Ender Dragon. And as this run is coming to an end, and I jump into the credits, I can only wonder one thing. Why the f*** are the credits so long? Like, they're just so long! Sorry guys, I got a little upset. But, for the moment we've all been waiting for, the time it took me to beat this run. It took me an hour, 38 minutes, and 12 seconds, which it's pretty lousy, let's be honest. In the grand scheme of speedruns, that is ass. But for me, I think it's pretty good. I hope you guys weren't expecting world record out here, because I can't give you that. But let's be honest, I have plenty more time I could have shaved off this run, so who knows? I could come back to this and just blow that record out the water. But at the same time, I might never do this run again. However, if I do, I'll be plenty more prepared next time. I will say, I genuinely don't understand how speedrunners can just take the abuse from running games over and over and over and over and over again, but it's definitely commendable. Like for me, after a week of this, it was pissing me off. I can't imagine what it's like doing it for years just to shave off a nanosecond. Alright guys, now this is what I'll call the end of the road for the video, but I just have some final things to just get off my chest. Speedrunning Minecraft may not be a specialty of mine, but I hope you guys found some happiness through all my pain, and with that, I'm calling it there. See you guys in the next video whenever I get to it. Hopefully I can get to it soon. And with that, you guys have a good one. Peace.